Joining band or choir is just the first step for young music students. If they are to advance, the student must take private lessons. Otherwise, they will fall behind their peers who do so. Private lessons in music are necessary for the student to advance and become a better student. I teach brass lessons privately, and I've seen it do wonders for students in high school bands. Students who don't take private lessons are normally lower chair or don't go further in their musical career. In this speech, I'm going to discuss how private lessons will increase a student's satisfaction in playing music, make the student more versatile, and increase their IQ. My first point, as I mentioned, is private lessons will increase satisfaction in playing music. I have seen with my students that they gain a higher satisfaction for playing music because they have learned to do techniques and new skills they did not have before. This can only be done at their own pace, however. Rife states feelings of satisfaction are vital in learning how to play a musical instrument. Satisfaction acts as positive reinforcement, which provides the intrinsic motivation necessary for students to continue to participate in private music lessons. This is very true. I started teaching this one student in August, and they didn't care about what they were playing. It was just notes on paper. And then here we are in November, and they're playing some Baroque pieces, and they're really interested. If you want to know the history of it, and they want to learn how to play in that style. And that's really awesome for me as a music instructor. Moving on further into this point, having someone who is willing to take the time to help the student will increase their love of playing. This is supported by a statistic by Rife in Children's Satisfaction with Private Music Lessons in the Journal of Research in Music Education. Most of the time, and it's not the fault of the instructor at these high school band programs, they have 30, 40, and sometimes if you're at like Dobbins Bennett, 200, 300 kids to worry about. They can't focus on one student at a time normally. So for students who are falling behind, they just kind of feel like they'll stay behind because they don't know how to get better. Having someone that has that one-on-one time with them weekly, it helps increase their satisfaction for playing music. Now that I've discussed how private lessons give students satisfaction, let me move on to my next point, which is private lessons will make the student more versatile. In private lessons, you do not only teach the student to play their instrument better, but you also give them oral training. This is supported by Xander. The student has to learn how to play a C and a G, both open partial. They have a lot of trouble with that sometimes, hearing the difference. And for me, having done this for almost 15 years, that's mind-boggling to me. But I was the same way. I know I was. You have to help the student hear that, and that's just done by long tones and constant playing, which they don't normally do if they're not taking these private lessons. I'll now be going on to my next point, which is private lessons can make a student more versatile. From making a student more versatile to how music has proven to increase the IQ. All of my students who take private lessons are in honors classes, and I do not see this as a coincidence. This is supported by a statistic by Schoenberg in Music and Cognitive Abilities, Current Directions in Psychological Science. It's just a proven statistic that band kids have a higher IQ, statistically. And it's because music affects the brain in a way. It activates areas in the brain, and it makes them smarter. When I was in high school, students in band that took the ACT made higher than average scores, and I also do not see this as a coincidence. This is supported by a graph that shows scores between those who took lessons and those who did not, in Xander, Creating a Musical Foundation, the value of early childhood music, and the transition to private lessons from the American Music Teacher. That's my point there. In conclusion, we can see that there's no argument that private lessons are a benefit to the young music student. Private lessons in music are necessary for the student to advance and become a better student. Enjoying what you do will have you do it longer. Being advanced at playing a musical instrument is an easy way to gain scholarships for higher learning. Gaining new skills is needed to succeed in the real world, and taking private lessons can help a student score higher on entry-level exams. If the student is to succeed, they must take that extra step.